G'day guys, today I'm looking at TTI impact drivers, specifically the top impact driver as available in this country at the time of this recording. The top Ryobi, the top AEG and the top Milwaukee. All three of course made by TTI, Tektronix Industries. Now the main thing I want to test on these tools is their claims about Newton meters. So traditionally, the one on the left, the Ryobi, is the DIY, the lesser brand. The AEG is in the middle, and the Milwaukee Fuel there, the top of the line. So three grades: DIY, sort of apprentice tradesman, and full-on tradesman, we could say. But when it comes to the Newton meter ratings, things get a little bit weird, because this is not as powerful as these two, according to the box. This can put out 226 Newton meters, this 260, and this 300. Really? Is this the most powerful of these three? If this is 300, it's gonna smash this. Absolutely smash it. And pretty much every other impact driver available, because for so long, the model before this, the Gen 3 Milwaukee Fuel impact driver, was the most powerful by a long shot. It could just fire in screws so fast, and I think it was rated at 229, so it's interesting they haven't gone up. They have perhaps tried to make this tool a little bit nicer in the hand, a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, that sort of thing, rather than going for more power, which I've noticed companies are starting to do. Basically hitting the peak of power, certainly the necessary power. They don't really need to get much more powerful. You really want a heap of power, then you could go to an impact wrench. So they're now starting to make them shorter, smaller, lighter, that sort of thing. But before I do the big test to see which one can drive massive screws in the best and the deepest and the fastest, which is what I want to test to see if this really is as good as what it says on the box, I'm going to screw down this flooring that I'm sitting on here. This is just for a shed, so I'm going to do some small screws, just get a feel for them, see how they go with small stuff before we get on to the big stuff. I've got a 6 amp hour battery for each one currently charging so that they're fresh and ready to go, and as soon as they're done, we'll get into it. So the batteries are charged and ready to go. We have all three tools here. All three of them came with a belt clip, but the Milwaukee is the only one that was actually on the tool. They have different chucks. These two have the same chuck. This one slightly different. These two hold out, and I'll show you that later. They all have 4 modes, basically 1, 2, 3, and then a tech mode for putting in, well, I'll show you that later as well. This one is a clamshell with 2 parts. These two have 3 parts, so they've got each side, and they also have a back piece. This one does not have the back piece. These two have lights down the bottom. This one has 3 lights around the chuck. These two have the controls on the front, when the AEG has it in the better position on the back. So each driver's got a fresh battery on it. I've put them all in mode 1. We'll start with mode 1, see how we go. I'm going to be driving some galvanized 10 gauge 50mm long screws, and then once I've put those in and got the feel for the tools, we'll take it up a level. So depending on how you look at that, you could say that the Ryobi was the worst or the best. It was the best because it would be better for finer screws, right? Because it wasn't going in so hard like the other two were. But you might also say, hey, it was rubbish at doing that compared to the AEG, which just smashed it. AEG was definitely the quickest and felt the best. It was the nicest in that setting for that size screw. But if you were doing smaller screws, again, then maybe this or this would be a better option. Let's whack them into the second mode. Well, that was a much better setting for the Ryobi, and I even felt the AEG was a bit nicer in that setting. And I could feel that the Milwaukee was starting to get quick. It was wanting to go much quicker than these two. So we're on the highest mode here, number 3, which could be a bit tricky, because if I just let them go for it, they're going to drive straight through this ply before I know what's hit me. So I'm going to have to use a little finger control. So they're all going to be slightly different, but I'll tell you how it feels. That was quick. Milwaukee and the AEG, very, very quick. But of course the Ryobi had no problem at all either. Let's just take it in a little bit further. Right, I'm going to finish screwing off this floor and then we'll move on to some bigger screws. This is the other mode. As you can see, once you've got the tool started, you've got your screw going in. Once it feels the resistance, it ramps up. Try that with the AEG. Wow, it went in so fast. That's actually a different mode to this, which I'll explain in a moment. Let's go with the Milwaukee, see which one they're using. Looks like the tech mode according to the little picture. So why were those so completely different? Well, they're actually different purposes for those extra modes. So the one on the left, the Ryobi, has a wood screw mode. So basically it waits for you to get your screw started when you're wobbling about a bit, and then once it's going in, feels a bit of resistance, needs a bit more power, it ramps up. The AEG seemed to just go for it. And the Milwaukee went fast and then stopped. So that's like a tech mode for going into metal rather than wood like the Ryobi is. So that one, once it feels the resistance, it stops, so you don't strip out your screws or strip out the metal you're screwing into. And I'm assuming the AEG is that mode as well, but it didn't feel enough resistance to actually stop. So far the AEG feels like it's got the most power. Anyway, I'll finish this off. Ryobi's definitely a lot slower. The AEG is quick, man. It's quick. After using the Ryobi each time, it sort of gets away from me. Ooh. Toss up between these two. So in finishing it off, I gave up on the Ryobi pretty damn quick. In the first and second speed, it's just too slow, and in the third, it's just not that nice. So I finished it off with the AEG and the Milwaukee, both in number 2 mode. The AEG does it a little bit quicker without impacting, so it can drive the screw almost fully in before it starts impacting, which is nice because it's less sound in your ear and less vibration. The Milwaukee felt like it was vibrating the floor when I was kneeling on it and standing on it more than the AEG did. But it's a pretty close call between them to which one would be my favorite. The Milwaukee's sort of nicer feel in the hand, but the one I ended up doing the last row or two of screws with was the AEG. All 3 of these impact drivers are set to their highest normal setting, level 3, and we're going to drive these. These are 280 millimeters long. That's what, 11 inches, and they have a 10 millimeter or 3/8 of an inch thread on them. I am not putting a pilot hole, we're just driving these straight in. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Well, it was pretty clear who the winner was there. The Milwaukee smashing it, as I would expect, even though on paper this has higher numbers for torque. But if this was 300 newton meters of torque, how come it couldn't get that screw in when this is only 229 newton meters of torque? Some BS going on the packaging of this thing. Not only that, so this one made it okay. These two both struggled in a similar sort of way. They would impact for a long time and have a bit of a burst, bit more of an impact. But this one, when it was impacting and not going anywhere and then it took off, I could feel the whole thing change shape. Shit, you know, I could feel this clamshell just opening up through here, feel it in my hand. I could feel the whole thing twisting and just wanting to, there's quite a bit of twist in this thing. And I could feel that as I was using it. It was kind of scary. I wasn't confident that impact driver was going to make that screw get all the way in there without burning itself out or snapping in half. So for doing big tasks like that, I would be picking the Milwaukee any day, because even though this got it in there, boy oh boy did that shake the living daylights out of me, that one. I could feel that in my arms so much more than the others. That was uncomfortable to use. So the Milwaukee definitely takes this round. Next up, I'm going to do a test that winds a lot of people up. Even though these sort of companies, tool companies, make this product for these tools and they indicate they can be used in the manuals, so many people are against drilling holes with an impact driver. But this is a 1-inch speed bore bit, and we're just going to see if I can sink these all the way down into this material. Once again, this is pine, it's well and truly dry. Let's go. I will of course be using all of these in the top speed. 3, 2, 1. So one of the big differences after that test is this is warm. This also quite warm, not too bad. Whereas this, almost too hot to touch. She is very warm. What about the weight and the feel of the tool? Well, between the three of them, this one to me feels the lightest. This one feels the heaviest. And no surprises, that one feels like it's somewhere in between. So let's just take a wee look. Big red, 1723. Orange, 1775, so 50 grams heavier than Milwaukee, and I don't know what you call this horrific color, 1825, so 100 grams heavier for the Ryobi versus the Milwaukee. And when it comes to comfort, they basically work in the same order. I found this one the most comfortable, followed by this, followed by this. What is this, Ryobi? Why do you need to put this thing here? You're making people put their finger where you want them to. Is this for people that don't know how to use impact drivers and drills and stuff? So you put this on there to train them on how to hold it? Because it's a DIY style tool. Is that the thing? So you got this silly thing in between your fingers there. Anyway, least comfortable, especially when doing big stuff. Vibrates like crazy. This one I felt though vibrated the most. But this, felt like it was falling apart at times. So weight, comfort, and clearly size all go to the Milwaukee, which you would expect because it is a premium brand compared to the other two. With all the backs lined up, if we take a look, the Ryobi sticks out the front quite a lot on the chuck and on the battery compared to the Milwaukee. The AEG sticks back a bit there, but sticks out at the back. Why is that? That's because they've gone and put the, like I said earlier, they've got this in what I now consider the best place on an impact driver, because it's so much easier to see than trying to look here, and it's much easier to film here as well than it is on the front. So that's nice as a YouTuber. And that means the handle can be more in the center of the battery, which makes the balance of the weight better. Unlike if we look at this Ryobi, we have this massive section sticking out the front. It's ridiculous. And the battery, it's not too off balance because the head is also so damn massive. But this one, look at this. Look at the difference there. You know, if you want something small to get into tight spaces, and yes, they are lined up, it doesn't look like it until you get over there, but yeah. This is much smaller than the Ryobi. A quick word on the chucks. So the Milwaukee, one hand, don't need to pull the collet back, just poke it in to take it out, pull the collet forward, take it out. Pretty simple, pretty basic, works fine. These two have a different chuck, like I said earlier. Apart from being a different color, they do this. When that went in, did you see what happened here? And did you see what happened there? So you put it in one-handed still, and the whole collet moves backwards. Watch right here. See, the whole thing clicked back, and then when you push it forward, it ejects your bit and stays forward. Sometimes if you don't quite do it right, this will pop back, and so when you go to put it in the next time, like if that doesn't, it goes back like that, the next time when you try and put it in, it ain't gonna work. You'll have to pull the collet forward again and then push it in. And the AEG works in exactly the same fashion. So that's just a quick look at 3 different impacts from the same manufacturer. Yeah, they've all got different brand names on them, but they're all made by TTI. This in the US will be a Ridgid written here, not AEG. Same tools, different countries, have different names. Let me know down below which one of these you run, which one you like, why you don't like the one you do run, whatever. Let me know down there. Now this video is just a prelude sort of video to a much bigger video I'm going to do on impact drivers, which will include all of these impact drivers shown here, and that's going to be a big video, so I just thought I did this as a bit of a practice one just to warm up for that. Now these 2 tools here were given to me by TTI. Ryobi and AEG gave me these tools to review, and so this is the first time I have reviewed them, but like I say, they will be in this other video with all these other ones. And the Milwaukee was not given to me, and so of these 3, the one that I would keep is the one that I'd have to pay for. But they're actually all good impact drivers, and it's amazing how good Ryobi stuff is getting now. The Ryobi stuff is getting right up there power wise and stuff with, well, we've shown it's not quite there and that their numbers are a bit dubious, but you know, the tools are getting a lot better. But how long they last is another issue, and how good the batteries are and all that sort of thing. So as the old saying goes, you get what you pay for. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another one again soon. This is my B channel, by the way. My main channel will be up here and at the end of this video and down in the description and stuff. So if you want to see that video that I was just talking about with all the impact drivers, all of these ones, then make sure you are subscribed to Tools and Stuff so you know when that pops up. Thanks everyone, see you later.